Hello everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to Chasing Cinema's official YouTube page. I know things look a bit weird. Yes, I am here by myself, but that's okay. I am here to tell you about one of the most anticipated movies of the year. Yes, that's right. It's Disney's The Lion King. You go back all the way into the 90s when I was a young boy. Lion King was one of the first films I ever saw in the movie theater. I'll never forget it. I spilled a huge box of popcorn. My mom got really mad. But what I ended up watching was a movie that I would remember and cherish my entire lifetime. It was my favorite movie as a kid growing up. The music, the emotion in the movie, like there's just so much there. Beautiful, the soundtrack is unbelievable. Every kid from the 90s and beyond, even the 80s, obviously, like Shu was a big fan of the movie. We all loved The Lion King. The Lion King was on a pedestal of its own, so much so it got a Broadway show that was a really big hit. We've seen many adaptations of the film, and now a live-action remake, not too long after Beauty and the Beast, probably the only other real competitor for Lion King. Jon Favreau, who did the remake of Jungle Book, now does photo-real movie. That's right, guys. They make sure no live-action photo-real here with Lion King. But Jon Favreau did say at the world premiere there was one actual live shot in the movie, the rest completely photo-real. It's insane. But I have not been a fan of any of these Disney remakes. I have not loved any of these because I found them to be kind of drab. I think a lot of them are missing that classic Disney magic, and they walk this interesting line. Now, one of my favorite movies ever is going to be retold by Jon Favreau. Going in, I couldn't be more nervous. But I will say this. The Lion King from Disney is not going to be a crime against your childhood. I am very happy to say that I was fine with The Lion King as I walked out of the theater singing Hakuna Matata, but it's not something new. I will say this, the reason why The Lion King will be a movie that is constantly talked about rather than the other live-action Disney remakes is because The Lion King is a visual achievement. As I said, Jon Favreau had said at the world premiere that only one of the shots in The Lion King was actually real. I probably said 20 times, that must be the real shot. There were genuinely scenes with our characters, Timon, Pumbaa, Simba, these characters that we all know and love, that I actually questioned. Those look so real. It was actually quite mind-boggling. So visual spectacle, unbelievable. Just like Lion King was back in the 90s. I think that this movie uses color, vibrancy, they really cared about their characters' movement. All of that is channeled here. They want these animals to be as realistic as possible. They want to be as loyal to the source material as they can be. Now, I think that the movie ends up looking phenomenal and great visual effects, but I end up thinking that that's what hurts The Lion King. As far as story, Jon Favreau doesn't really change much, and really dialogue either. The movie is a half hour longer, but not much really changes with our dynamics. Few minor details, but nothing too major. So when we get close to that realism, when we have scenes that are incredibly intense and we really feel like we're in the middle of this almost real action, it immediately takes you out when we hear like a joke that would be in a 1990s Disney cartoon. You know, there are some Disney references. This movie does try to be meta a little bit a few times. There's a Beauty and the Beast reference in it that's pretty on the nose. And it's things like that that kind of take away that what this movie is trying to do. I mean, if you want to tell Lion King in the way that you could bring it to real life as possible, then you need to make those characters real. And that was another really big thing. With animation, you are able to create your characters' gestures, their facial expressions. The rules are limitless. When you want these lions to actually look like real lions, you really don't have much room to give them facial characters. They're all pretty standard and blank-faced. And the problem with that is that with dialogue that is fit for a 80, 90-minute movie from the 90s marketed towards kids, it's a bit flat. Not only flat, but a little weak. We kind of want to dig deeper, and now that we're in this kind of real realm, we want this to be more emotional. We want the stakes to be higher. We want to feel a little bit more, and I don't think you will. Actually, I think you might feel a little less because you don't feel as connected to what's going on screen. Don't get me wrong, I think the soundtrack is great. I think the voice casting is great. I think Chiwetel Ejiofor playing Scar was one of the coolest things I think I've seen this year. But again, I think Beyonce, perfect example, got to play the role of Nala, the most important female in this movie. And really, the character only ends up getting about 10, maybe 20 lines, I want to say. That might be a bit low, might be a bit of exaggeration, but the truth is, keeping that dialogue, we don't have much time with adult Nala. She really only enters the film halfway through. And it's things like that that kind of bum me out because I wish we would have been able to really explore Nala as a character a little bit more. If we're going to make this movie longer, why not give that character more credence? Because she does play such an important role in the movie. Off the top of my head, I just have to say that I think this movie is enjoyable. I think it's something you could watch and have fun with, but I don't think there's much here to consider it a movie that could stand on its own. Think of it like a cover of a great song that you love so much. Yeah, you might like it. They might do some cool things that your artist or your favorite, musician did, but it's not good enough. It's not amazing enough to stand on its own. It needs that support. It needs that original emotion you have to that song. It needs all of that to really, really balance, and that's the problem here. Overall, I think it was fine. I think it's a movie that people can watch and enjoy, but not one that I think will stand the test of time, and not another great hit from Disney. Back next week here at AMC Town Square, me and Mr. James Shue will be back to talk about whatever movies are coming out. So make sure to join us here at AMC Town Square at 10 o'clock. Discounted tickets, text James Shue or comment below. As always, ChasingCinema.com is known as the Film Lovers website.